hot. There were people hanging around everywhere. They had minimum power, not enough for air conditioning. There were dead people everywhere. There were people on stretchers. There were old people that were dying. You know, you couldn't do anything. There was nobody. There was this huge line that zigzagged on the tarmac. It had like water and some little snack foods, and that was it. They just put you on planes and didn't tell you where you were going. People brought animals on the planes. There were dogs running up and down the aisle. It was a madhouse. I got off the plane in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I was still soaking wet. They gave us Red Cross cards, and then I just been traveling. I met my friends in D.C. and started working.
My grandfather was fine. Thought he went into the attic and he was fine. That's what you do. You axe out a hole in the roof and someone comes and rescues you.
I have a friend who lost 2 cousins. They were up on the roof in their attic and they couldn't hack their way out. And they drowned.
They are finding people every day. People come back and find their relatives in their homes. My next door neighbor was supposed to have gotten out with his wife. They were both dead in their house when we got back.
The last count that I remember was something around the left country, officially, but I don't remember the death.
The last I was told there were more than 1,600, but I'm pretty sure that there's more unofficial deaths.
8 to 10,000. It's been a big hidden thing. It was an election year and they didn't want that to come out. If they found a body that they could identify, then that went into the official count. The problem is, once a body's been in the water for 3 days, it's almost impossible to identify. And so many people, thousands of people, were in the water for weeks. They had a vast morgue in Gonzales, and they buried probably about 4,000 people in a mass grave.
My grandmother called to tell me they had found my grandfather. The 82nd Airborne got to the house, which was underwater up to the roof. It's about 12 feet. Cut a hole in the roof and put a flashlight in. I didn't see anything. Then when the water had gone down, a friend of the family, Tommy, who was my grandfather's nephew, got a group of National Guardsmen to take him to the house in the boat.
I came in and there was stuff everywhere. I tried to find your grandfather. Then I saw him underneath a pile of debris. I found him on the sofa dead. He was the whitest, cleanest human being I'd ever seen, which is what I think happens to people when they're in water and they turn white. I left the guardsmen on duty with the body that night, which is a real honor because it's one of their own.
We took him out with a flag over him. I think he would have really liked that. And of course, all the press, his story got, his picture was everywhere. Prisoner of war, decorated soldier, he was such a celebrity. And I kind of love the fact that in his death, so many people got to know about him. Because he was really kind of terrific.
they swelled up. Plus, the water was disgusting, even if you had a book you loved. I mean, I hate to say it, but there were dead people in that water.
I was driving back to New Orleans, driving really insane, just thinking maybe I'd blow up or something. Got stopped by the cops.
You from New Orleans?
Yeah, man, I'm from New Orleans.
Are you okay? How'd you do in the storm?
No, man, I'm not okay.
You drive her.
Oh my God, the ceiling's collapsed. This is our house? Look at our hardwood floors.
All
Mama, aren't you going to say anything?
right, girls.
No, it's not. How can you stand there stone-faced? I know you're trying to protect us just like you did when Daddy died, but it only makes it worse.
I don't have your picture. I don't have your first communion, your daddy's picture. We don't have any of our pictures. None. None of us.
The house is still here. Flooded, but it's still here.
When can we move back? I've been in Tennessee for 3 weeks.
Well, it's like this. The mold was about 4 feet high, so basically everything had to go.
Well,
It's all out in front of the house.
who?
One crew was from Chicago and one was from New Jersey. They came and we cleared everything out of our house and my mom's. Volunteer firemen, but yeah, I think it's time you came home.
I thought that was the longest drive coming home. Not really knowing what to expect and what not to expect. But I guess it really hit me when I couldn't even see my house because the pile in front was so high. I can see straight through my front door to my back fence.
All the sheetrock, the insulation, we had to gut all that.
How am I going to afford all this? How am I going to go back to work? How am I going to take care of the baby? And it's not like we can ask my mom because her house is flooded too.
Right now, what we need is a place to live. The water stayed in my house for 5 weeks. Just the weight of the water must have collapsed the floor. There was nothing of my house, just a shell. It's a real sight to sit there and watch people throw all your things away. That's your life, your history.
When the restaurant opened up, I moved back to New Orleans. But for the first month or so, every place I went, I had a flashback of what it was like. I couldn't even go to the airport for like 2 months. Come back into something where you saw all these people that were just dead.
How you doing, man? So what, should we get the band back together? We can find some momentum, Brenda.
We split it up pretty bad. It's like there's a rubber band around us, and now everybody's doing what they can. I don't know anymore what continue means.
But are we going to get together in New York? Are we going to move to Austin? You know?
I don't know if there's going to be anything to come back to. We've been gone for 3 months.
3 fucking months.
You gotta make plans for 3 months. You end up having a life somewhere. You gotta make money. You gotta work. I mean, I took the first job somebody offered me. It's kind of good for me, this 9 to 5 thing.
Everyone's evaluating their lives, man. Just trying to figure out what to do next. You had a little break from life for a second, you know?
It takes so long to build. Then when everything gets stripped away like that, do you want to go and build it from scratch, or do you want to do something else? I think I'm ready to hang it up.
What are you saying, man? We started this together. You can't back out now.
I'll tell you what. Let's go back and get the band together, but it's got to be real from now on. No bullshit, not just do it to do it.
All right, man. Let's make something happen. Let's inspire some of these fuckers.
You